In this video, we're going to dive into The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, Chapter 1. We're going to talk about the two main concepts of this chapter and summarize them and dive in a little bit deeper to help unpack them a little bit. The first big idea I want to talk about is this idea that you are not your mind. Now, we don't often think of ourselves as we are our mind. It's more subtle than that. It's a little bit like asking the fish, how's the water? You know, the fish is like, huh? What water? It's that kind of thing. We tend to get identified with our mind and our thoughts. And whatever thoughts we're thinking is just our experience of whatever's going on. We don't always think of it as, here I am thinking these thoughts about XYZ. That's where we're trying to get to. The normal sort of basic way that most of us do it is, whatever our thoughts are, we're just lost in those thoughts. We're reacting to whatever our mind is doing at that time. And this can be a pretty dreadful affliction, like Eckhart says. We want to become the watcher of these thoughts and to realize that every thought that pops in our head is not what's happening, is not who we are, and break that identification with those thoughts. I remember when I was first discovering this, I tried to logically put all this together and understand it. And I put it in terms of, do I believe what Eckhart is suggesting in this chapter, or do I not believe it? Maybe I could solve and figure out and put logic to understand it. But what I realized quickly is these are the wrong questions. The way to understand this is to experience it for yourself. You don't need to believe Eckhart. You don't need to believe me or anyone. You need to see what your mind is doing and become more familiar with what your thoughts are doing. And so that's what I did. I started watching my thoughts as often as I could. I would say, well, what's going on in the old hamster wheel up here? And try to pay attention to that. And quickly I realized that I would almost immediately forget that I was trying to watch my thoughts, and I would just get caught up in them. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to pay attention about this thought, and then I go, oh, and then I would start thinking about it, and then the whole day would go by, and I'd go, oh, wasn't I supposed to be watching my thoughts? Because I completely forgot to do that. But as I kept doing it over the days and weeks, I got a little bit better, and I kept catching myself like, wait, there's that pesky thought again. In fact, that's the same one I had an hour ago, and the hour before that, and every hour for the last 6 months. That's interesting. Now we're starting to see patterns. One time, I remember specifically, I was clear-minded, I was focused, and I was determined to continue watching the thoughts that arose and see where it led until it eventually fizzled out. I just wanted to be there for every thought that came. And I was pretty surprised that as one thought ran its course, it didn't end to nothingness. As soon as it started to taper down, it would jump to a new thought. And then I would explode, and then I would jump to something totally different. And then, And the longer I watched it, the more I realized this doesn't end. There's no break here. It doesn't run its course and then there's this peaceful silence. There was no peaceful silence. There was just more thoughts, more judgment, critiques, opinions, perspectives, futures, worries, all these things. And I thought, okay, this is my work right here. This is where I need to be. And at first I started with the judgment of those thoughts. So it was, I would see my mind going here, deep, and then I go, oh, I'm doing it again. I keep losing my mind and following all these things. And of course, that is more thinking. That's more thoughts. So there's a thought about something, and then there's another thought that says you shouldn't be thinking this. And then you can judge that thought and judge. And it's more of the same thing. What Eckhart is teaching is it's not about judging the thoughts. It's not about trying to control and fix the thoughts. It's about stepping back and being the observer of the thoughts, watching the little thought come and the little thought go. and not needing to be totally swept up and taken over and just be the observer of that thought. When I experienced this a lot was in a season of a lot of trouble sleeping at night. I had a lot of insomnia several years ago, and I would lay in bed, I would close my eyes, and all of these thoughts of problem solving or worries or concerns or even good things, exciting things of the future would flood my mind, and I couldn't sleep. I was solving all these things. I was fixing issues. When you're lying safely in your bed, in a nice, warm, comfortable bed, you have food in the fridge, you have family close by, you have a roof over your head, and you are lost in some future disaster that you're trying to solve, that's really not the appropriate time to do that. Maybe the next day you can think through what you would do in that particular disaster, and then you would say, okay, I thought about it, and now I'm going to set it down and not continue thinking about it. But when we're lost in those thoughts, we don't even realize that we're doing that. We just are swept up by what's happening. So my encouragement for you on this idea is don't take my word for it. Try this out for yourself. Commit to just trying to notice a little bit more of what's going on in your mind, in your thoughts. Try to catch your thoughts and see what you're thinking about, what you're judging, the constant talking, the constant narrative. Another book recommendation on this particular topic is by a guy called Michael A. Singer, and the book is called The Untethered Soul. And the first chapter is all about the voice in your head, and that's exactly this topic that we're talking about. And he uses different language to talk about it, but he does a great job of pointing out that we all have that sort of constant narration in our heads. And so I would encourage you to take a few moments throughout your day and just try to notice what's going on in the old hamster wheel up there. All right, let's move on to the next big idea. So the second big idea I want to talk about is the idea that the present moment is all you ever have. Now, this one is so obvious that we tend to miss it a little bit. I know I used to call myself a futurist because I was always sort of thinking and dreaming about the next big thing, the next video or project or song or business that I wanted to work on or start. And I had a very hard time in just the present moment. And now I wouldn't use it in terms like that. I was always thinking of the future and what a better future could be. And that's a beautiful thing, but only if you then can return to reality and what's right in front of you. The future, for instance, let's say next Friday, is just a concept in our minds. It's an imagination, it's an idea. We have no access to next Friday. Now, of course, when Friday gets here, when today is Friday, then it's no longer the future, it's the present moment. It's the now. Now we have access to it. And in the same way, the past is already gone. We have no access to the past. We can't change anything in the past. It lives only as a memory in our minds. And so when we really embrace this idea that right now, the present moment really is our only access to our life, it can be radically helpful. Now, that doesn't mean we don't make plans for the future. Of course we make plans. We need to plan out our future so we can retire and we can do the things that we want to do. And when we plan in the present moment. We come up with a plan for the future, and then when we're done planning, we stay in the present moment and we don't get lost in those future plans and just stay in there forever. We return back to the present moment. Now, my extended family, we kind of laugh about this because for years, we've had this habit of when planning our once-a-year vacation, there's all this anticipation for this future trip we're going to go on. And we're always thinking about this trip. And then the trip finally gets here. And what do we do on the trip? We start planning for the next trip of this next future great trip that we're all excited about. And, you you can almost miss the trip you're on. Even though your body's there, your mind is elsewhere. And again, it's good to plan trips, plan your next trip, that's fine. As long as then you can stop planning and you can return to the present moment. And I found all of my relationships have improved so much by me not thinking of what are the next things I'm going to say or what are the future things I'd rather see happen, and just say, I'm going to attend this moment exactly how it is. I'm able to listen so much better. I'm able to hear people when I can put my full attention on that person rather than thinking of what's next and splitting my attention in that way. Eckhart gives several examples of kind of silly ways to enter the present moment. One of the ones that I liked is when he talks about washing your hands and giving all of your attention to that task. He says, smell the aromas of the soap, feel the sensations on your skin. Just experience what that's like to wash your hands without all the narration and all the thinking and all the commentary. And so when I first tried this, I noticed I was explaining to myself what I was feeling. Oh, this feels good, it feels warm, da-da-da, and there was talking and thinking. And I'm like, wait, I'm missing it here. Now I'm creating concepts and ideas about washing my hands. The point is to just experience the experience without all the commentary. Just be there for the experience. Give this a try and see what it's like for you. Well, there's so much more we could talk about in chapter 1, but we're going to move to chapter 2, which is in the next video. It's called Consciousness, the Way Out of Pain. And instead of inviting you to like and subscribe this YouTube channel, I'm going to actually ask you to turn off your screens and try practicing some of these things. Try being more mindful and observing your thoughts, and even washing your hands with your full attention. I really believe that our world could benefit so much from us all being a little more mindful and bringing our peace and sharing it with one another. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.